people on in here and just I. By the way, hey, true believers. I mean, we're this is the first 10 minutes or 10 seconds that shows up when you put your thing over, and it's just us meandering. Okay, so basically, we're going to be talking about our plans for the channel and what we're going to be doing here, and it's just a hangout stream. So just kick back, relax. Let's get this party started, basically. But yeah, we were talking about older videos that I've done that where I would write my ideas for each character and such. And Dalton was saying that he wants to do one for Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate. But what we're really here to talk about is a show we're doing on Mondays now, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. You want to make it 9?
Sure.
What about you, Dalton?
I don't have a preference either way. Either way works.
Yeah, we're going to be doing. I always prefer 9 because because the West Coast has gotten home from work, and they're getting that. So I've always enjoyed 9. I always think about that left coast as well. So everybody's home, everybody's chilling. 9 o'clock.
And calling it the left coast is probably pretty appropriate instead of the west one. But
yeah. So. It used to be Throwback Thursdays. We've done a few on this channel before where we talked about like the Hawkeye miniseries, and we talked about one of my favorite Batman stories of all time, which if you guys ever want to visit it again, I am happy to do so. It's called Prey from the Legends of the Dark Knight series. It involved Hugo Strange coming to Gotham to try to figure out this new person that's been fighting crime called the Batman. And it's one of the best Batman stories of all time.
I agree.
But we did that already. And last week we did the Avengers West Coast. This week we were going to do Wild Dog, but I did not have time to read it. I was going to read it before we showed up, but I play chauffeur for my family, and I've been in the car the last 4 hours. And yeah. I don't even.
So in short, he assigned us homework that he himself did not do.
I did not,
ladies and gentlemen.
But I will do it by Monday when we talk about Wild Dog. It's because we're going to be talking about some of our favorite stories, favorite videos, and videos. We're going to comic book stories. I think that's it's going to be a lot of fun. And Wild Dog is going to be the first. Which, by the way, did you read it, Dalton?
Not yet. I'm actually kind of.
You were making a joke about me.
In my defense, I am not the one who assigned the homework. So
I know.
Slightly more egregious when the person who assigns the homework does not do the homework.
By Monday, all right? By Monday night, 9 o'clock, we're going to have that done. I'm interested because I think this one of the things. Every one of us is picking out a story, and we're giving homework to each other, like you said. So, Dalton, you're going to be reading books that are way out of your purview, and that could happen to any of us. Dominic could say something like, "Okay, this today we're going to be reading Fire and Ice" or something like that. I just said that because I put it on the thumbnail, and I only put it on the thumbnail because it's 2 girls in a bikini.
But
if Dominic said no, we're gonna read Fire and Ice. No. That, by the way, actually, I wouldn't mind bringing back Bad Comic Beatdown, in which I would read Fire and Ice for that.
Well, it's also not a bad idea to resurrect the If I Wrote series.
Yeah, that would be fun. I've got ideas. One thing that's been pissing me off. I haven't read All In or All Star Superman or whatever they're calling it. But I've hated the way they've been writing certain characters these past few years. It seems like the new writers don't have any respect. They don't have any love for the characters that they've been given.
They're also been shown to not been trained by any of the veterans. Because back then, they're like,
and unfortunately, a lot of the veterans have actually forgotten the rules themselves because they are in a modern art context, and in modern art school context, themes and non-diegetic politics and morality and authorial intent are all that matters, and they will actually call you media illiterate if you care about things like in-universe logic or consistent
You think it
characterization.
might be the digitization? I mean, there's more digital artwork, there's more digital coloring. It's not people needing to be in a bullpen next to each other, which, by the way, there were things that were done by mail in the 1980s and 90s. So there were things that were created with the two never sharing a room, but now it seems like it's so easy. I'm not a big fan of the throwing continuity away. If you can't, if I've said before, if the person writing the story can't care about the world that this character is in, or their or the characters themselves, then how can they make me care about the hero or the villain?
If the arts to do in-universe logic, nobody cares whatever political or philosophical rigmarole you tack on top of it.
Yep.
On the other side,
has to come first, and if you can't make it come first, then you are the problem.
So yes, I would like to resurrect some of the videos and some of the things that I've been doing before. You know, definitely get back into comic book origins. I'm creating an entire series for it. Hey, Dark Admiral, what's up? But the one we are here today to talk about is we were calling it Throwback Thursdays. I said let's call it something different, and
Tales of the Longbox.
And it popped into mine and Dalton's head that we call it From the Longbox, which I've got a channel called From the Longbox. By all means, the link should be in the description at some point in time. And then we just thought Tales from the Longbox. That sounds like a good idea. That sounds like a great show. So we are going to talk about tonight some of the stories we want to read going forward. Now we know Monday is Wild Dog. And if you look on the thumbnail, we have the week after that, which is going to be Dalton's pick, Fire and Ice, because he's like, chicks and bikini.
Lies. Phil's lies, and I would go so far as to say slander, sir.
Right. But by all means, if you guys are listening in, you want to throw in your own ideas, please do, because we are open to anything. And we're also, while we're scheduling on Monday, if we don't have anything going on, and why not? Let's do another. I'm fine with that. But you want to talk about your first choice there and why you particularly think it would be a good book to explore there, Dalton?
My first choice is Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment. Possibly the best standalone Doctor Strange story. Also, it ties into Doctor Doom, and Fantastic Four is coming for better or worse, most likely a little bit of both. So there's that. And E said he wanted to alternate weeks, so it's one obscure pick, one iconic pick, alternating, so that we don't lose the plot quite so much.
Right. We don't want too many unknowns. I did that with Comic Book Origins, where I was like, okay, you guys can pick, and
it backfired.
Yeah, somebody was like, okay, first we're doing Picard's brother. Second, I want the origin of Starfleet Academy. Third, Thrawn. I don't know these characters. Even at the time, Thrawn was hard. Now everybody knows him because he was in a cartoon somewhere. But it was
let's not talk about what they've done to Thrawn. It's
the real Thrawn is from the real Star Wars, and that is the original expanding universe.
Okay, so apparently I touched on some nerves here, but yeah, I did do the first. Finding that book was impossible, man. But yeah, I did the first appearance of Thrawn, so I was like, okay, let's make sure that if you don't know who it is this week, maybe you'll know who it is next week. But,
basically, in short, for the uninitiated, they took Thrawn and then they pulled a in name only on his ass.
Yeah. By the way, none of these are rules. These are guidelines and such. So don't worry about that. I'm not a stickler for this kind of thing. If we'd if we have something scheduled and then decide, holy crap, I just read this, we should check it. I'm fine with that even. But yeah, Doctor Strange and Triumph and Torment is a book I believe that any true comic book fan should be reading.
Like I say, it's arguably the best standalone Doctor Strange story.
All righty. All right. Speaking of obscure, I believe, Dom, you had another pick.
Yes, I did.
Do you remember you want to say, or you might change it here? Like I said before on backstage, I said we made a list earlier, but if you think of something,
Did you
different,
keep it?
No, I don't know if I did. This was before my world fell apart. Yeah. Oh, I wrote them down somewhere, but I don't remember where they are because
oh dear.
Yeah, well, I moved it. But I'm making another list. I'll keep this one.
But come on, but it doesn't. But it helps to like bring in the list that you made in the backstage. I'm just ragging on you.
Professionalism, folks. Someday we will get it down. It will not be this
right.
day.
It's been 8 years. Nobody's been able to find professionalism around this channel.
Hey,
look, you know what? I don't mind it. If I make a video and I make a video channel, if I make a comic book channel that does not look like what is that, Nerd Sync or Valiant or any of those plastic channels, I am A-okay. You know, the ones where they're standing up and they're looking, or what is the New Rock Stars? You know, they're just standing there reading a fucking script.
Well,
or worse, the AI.
Channel is more DIY of like punk.
Right.
It's also authentic, real.
The worst,
reading from a script.
The worst are the ones where they're like, and you could tell that Captain America loves the country because his flag is of the costume that he might be wearing now. That does not sound like a human at all. And you know they actually had some sort of program doing it.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, okay, I stop watching videos like that. If I'm like, okay, sounds like a normal guy, and then they have some sort of weird, we're out. You should call him Mystery. He might have some professionalism for sale. Mystery sells everything but our videos. Variant went downhill. I haven't seen it in forever and a day, to tell you the truth. But Dom, what would be your first pick and why?
The first pick. Well, like previously,
second, because you did West Coast Avengers.
Yes. Well, I mentioned before, or that someday we should cover J. Michael Straczynski's Rising Stars from his Joe Comics imprint from Image's Top Cow. And for those who have seen TV shows like The 4400 and Heroes, those two series were inspired by JMS's Rising Stars because it tells the story of kids who develop powers after the passing of a comet when they were still in utero, and it follows them all the way to adulthood. Some use their powers for good, others for evil, while the third party they want to live normal lives while using their powers for utilitarian uses. However, all that changed when one of them is murdered, and so it caused John and others to actually investigate and see who is killing these superpowered humans. So it's a nice mix of cape fiction with detective mystery.
Okay.
And also drama as well. Because the thing with the Rising Stars, it covers a variety of genres with each issue, and also its spin-off miniseries enhances that as well.
I've never read this.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is JMS before his fall from grace.
Who? I was just about to ask that because JMS he fell off the back of turnip truck hard.
Yeah, he used to be a real classical liberal until he drank the Kool-Aid and fortunately he had become a leftist.
Right.
Yeah, some of us
on everything. Kind of obscure, just forgotten 90s indie. Rune was really fun, says Dark Admiral. It is on the list. I told you I will take suggestions.
Ooh.
And by the way, Rune from the Ultraverse, tell me you don't want to read some Ultraverse. and I will call you a liar.
No, I would love to, because
I know, right?
the funny thing is, like, Malibu and Valiant, they were actually around like since the 80s, before they decided to develop their own shared superhero universe.
Well,
But I'll say, unlike Marvel and DC, each of their titles cover different genres of fiction. Yeah, which is what
I
they
don't
did
think I've
best.
I don't think I've ever had any experience with the Ultraverse. This should be
the
interesting.
Ultraverse is one of those. If you're in the know, you know, right? It's I could tell you there's probably a whole bunch of people who don't know shit about it because, well, a lot of collectors nowadays collect covers. You know, they buy them, they slab them. Okay, isn't this great? I got a 9.8. Okay, fine. What'd you think of the story? You know, I look, I get it. I've got my expensive books as well, but read the fucking books. You know, talk about you have 1,000 channels out there. Modern day collecting is, well, I'm going to get that one.
Yeah, tell me you're a hipster rather than a nerd without telling me, kind of thing.
But so people who read comics and had been around at the time just know that the Ultraverse was a very decent new universe. And at the time, everybody was trying to create their own universe. I remember Rob Liefeld with his Extreme Studios put out a card set so he could trademark all the names and images. Without actually
Liefeld.
He did that so he didn't have to make comics for all these characters, and he would have them trademarked. And
of course, this was during a time like after him and the others like formed Image Comics, and like each of their titles, from Young Blood and Cyberforce to Gen 13 and Wetworks, they actually exist like in a shared universe, aka the Image universe, until Shattered Image
it didn't, because reasons.
Yeah, a multitude of factors was caused them to the Image universe to splinter. However, Robert Kirkman, who actually followed Image comics like since the beginning, he brought it all back through Invincible.
Oh, and to answer Less Evil Ginger Cat or whatever it is, you're not evil enough to have a wrench. Just saying.
But also with Kirkman, like with Invincible, like he celebrated like Image Comics, like and his original shared universe like with enthusiasm and respect, especially when the Invincible War happened. You had everyone from Spawn to Witchblade involved.
Okay. I'm going to Breen this. By the way, for those of you who do not know, Breening is named after Eric Breen, who every time we mention a comic book, he pulls out of a magical spot on his couch. Like it literally seems to be an arm's length.
He Toon forces his way into having the issue in hand somehow. But yeah, I assume Rune is probably fairly magic based, considering runes.
It's called Rune.
Yes, he is.
All right.
So with Rune, I will say briefly, with Rune, he is he's a vampire, but he's not from Earth. He's an alien vampire, and he's essentially a villain protagonist, like in his own solo series. So this was before.
Okay, that is not the direction I assumed this would go. I was expecting something Viking related. Bugger me.
Well, if I'll say like. One of these days, when we do a retrospective of Malibu Comics' Ultraverse, like Rune might catch your attention, as well as Mantra. So think, and people were mentioning that earlier in the comments as well. What is Mantra? All right, so imagine Highlander mixed with Firestorm, because it focuses on an immortal warrior named Lucas, who has to face off his ongoing enemy in the Archmage. However, the thing is, when he dies, his soul transfers into a new body. And after facing off like Archmage one more time, and his latest host body was killed, his soul is transferred into a new body, but instead of a man, he was placed into the body of Eden Blake, a woman.
So they pull the Wotan essentially.
Yes, and the reason like he was placed in Eden's body is because she actually has the potential to be a powerful mystical warrior.
Okay.
Now we were talking, and definitely when Thunderbolts comes out, we're going to do something Thunderbolt related, or
Sentry.
Sentry, and then Superman. We'll do a couple of Superman stories. My choice is this one right here. Whenever Superman comes out, it's Superman's Brainiac. So not putting it down yet, but when Superman comes out, we got it. This is one of the best stories ever written for Superman. But
another random one we should do at some point is Spider-Man Fever. I don't remember if I recommended that one when we were doing the original list, but Spider-Man Fever is a really good
hello
miniseries.
to Myra Greenblatt. And once again, guys, I put room down here. You guys make suggestions. We'll put them down. Now, granted, it might take a while because if we only do one a week, if we do multiple, of course, we can work through them a little bit more. What is going on with you, Dalton? Not Dalton, other Dalton. Are you eating, or is that because
no?
It sounds like you're climbing a wall with suction cups.
Yeah, or like walking or something.
The StreamYard acting up on me again.
Why is it doing that? What was the situation there?
Well, don't worry about it. Just we know what's going on. My second choice after Wild Dog would be a book it's one of those that I recommend to everybody, but nobody listens. Now I can at least force two of my friends to read it. It's not Amazing Man.
Read what I want you to read.
We will get to Amazing Man. We'll get to Amazing Man one day. But before we do, I want to stop by Dick Tracyville. And
nice.
Yeah, this is a book that they put out at the same time the movie came out. It's called the Complete True Hearts and Tommy Guns Trilogy. And the first two issues are the rise of Big Boy Caprice. In the movie, he was played by Al Pacino. So he starts off, it follows the Penguin from the Gotham TV show. He starts off as a lackey to Lips Manless. And then as it goes, he gets a little more power. And finally, the third chapter is the movie. It's only 3 issues, but it's they were the double-size prestige format books. And we lost Dom. Okay.
He said he'd be back in chat. I assume he had a thing. I assume he's trying to fix his StreamYard issues.
Yeah, it's a really good story. I could see how you might be a little hesitant because of the art, but I think the art works well for Dick Tracy because Dick Tracy the characters are supposed to look weird. This is the part where it's going through the movie as you see the Madonna character and such. I've loved this book since it first came out. This is my second copy of it. I wore through the other one. Which I do have a couple of books like that, like my copy of the Arkham Asylum. I opened it and pages started coming loose. I'm like, oh, maybe it's time to get a new one. Because this is the same. I've had the same copy since I bought it in the 80s. So, yeah. Speaking
of characters with movie tie-ins, I just today actually, for the first time, I had never seen this before, but for the first time, I watched Dylan Dog, and apparently he has comics, so we should do him.
Yes, he does. Okay. How did you like the movie?
I haven't actually finished it yet because I had other stuff that I needed to do and I had to pause it. But so far, from what I see, I like.
Yeah, I like it.
Granted, I stumbled on this from just kind of falling down a urban fantasy noir rabbit hole, and it is surprising to me just how many urban fantasy noirs there are, and it stuns me that there aren't more movie or show adaptations of them.
I believe Dylan Dog is a French comic book.
Yes.
I'm sure we could find an American telling of it, but I'm not against that one at all.
There's an omnibus
Hold on,
on.
let me find the cover to Dylan Dog.
There's an omnibus on Amazon, or there was, although it's not currently in print because the only copies I can find of it are used, which annoys me. But oh well.
According to Comic Vine, Dylan Dog has been in 1,067 issues. That's Doctor Doom numbers, kids. The 1986 volume has now produced 462 issues alone.
For those that don't know, there was a movie adaptation in the early 2000s, and Brandon Routh was was playing the main character.
All right, let me share a cover just to give a little heads up on what you're talking about. I wrote that down. You know, a great series was Kill or Be Killed, says Dark Admiral. All right, let me get that cover here. Show it off a bit. Where did it go? Here it is. Zoinks. And that's what we're talking about. It was a pretty decent movie. I liked it. I bought it on Blu-ray last year. I went to this shop that has 3 for $10 Blu-rays.
It's in my Amazon cart, along with a whole bunch of other like urban fantasy and supernatural noirs, because God damn it, there needs to be more of those. Maybe I can incentivize the market by buying a bunch of them.
Well, we need good urban fantasy, and not tripe.
Well, this is true, but I have yet to discover an urban fantasy with pulp noir aspects that I don't like. So,
yeah.
Granted, now that I said that, it becomes inevitable that I will find one. But
Dom,
knocking on wood.
How about you? What would be another selection for you? Because I've got Wild Dog for is going to be Monday, and then we'll do Doctor Strange, Triumph and Torn, then Rune, Dick Tracy, True Hearts, Dylan Dog, and what about you? What do you have in mind?
Let's see. Besides Rising Stars, I did mention earlier in the backstage that we should be covering the Thunderbolts for who they are, and now
that's gonna be a freebie. I think that obviously we want to tie in, help get a boost and all that kind of stuff.
Because algorithms be how algorithms
be. So yeah, that's going to be a give me. Name something else that isn't Superman, Fantastic Four, or Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Camelot 3000.
Oh, shiitakes, yeah.
Did you put Spider-Man Fever on when I said it earlier?
I did not. I'll add that next for you, and you can talk a little bit more. So, okay, let's give a little heads up on Camelot 3000 and why you think it would be something not only we would like to explore, but we would love to have everybody else read along with us so they can talk about it.
Oh, come on, it's a class. It's a classic, like from DC Comics, showcase like of a time where they cover different genres of fiction. Also, I mean, who doesn't love historical fantasy as well as any story featuring King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table?
I mean, it's one of the most referenced recurring IPs in all of fiction, probably, for a reason.
Plus, like the Mountains of Britain, like it's like a timeless piece of history and mythology.
Also, while we're tying Arthurian stuff in, and to hopefully incentivize Englentine to finally catch on or to catch up here, Gargoyles comics.
Right.
Now the question is, which one, the Marvel comics or from Slave Labor Graphics, which acts as the continuation of the animated series?
We would have to go to the first, I would say.
Right, but either way, we need to tie Englentine into the Clockwork Orange chair and make him watch Gargoyle finally. God damn it!
You've been trying, but in all honesty, I've already had that happen. Me and Gail call it the fun chair. Yeah, although she's the only one that doesn't. She never sits in it.
I suspect it's probably more fun for her in that case.
I'm starting to believe she just likes torture.
Well, I'm appreciative of Gargoyles for introducing me to, of course, Shakespeare, like in his materials, because I mean back then, and then like especially in English, it was like there was a huge like, emphasis of not just Shakespeare but also the classic work of literature, and so
Yeah.
yeah,
They
like
also do.
nowadays,
They also
nowadays
do.
they're
They also
severely
do
downplayed.
fairies. They also do the Sealy Fae really, really well in Gargoyles. I
So
wish we got more. I wish we got more from the Unseelie side, but unfortunately, not
so here's
for
the
the
thing.
setup.
Here's the thing. I said, hey guys in the audience, offer up some suggestions. I'll write them down. So far, Dark Admiral has become our fourth member. Yeah. So I'll tell you what. This is the referral link. Get StreamYard. Come on in and talk about this every fourth book that you have been suggesting. Yeah.
Because we appear to be heading down the rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
Tish.
That and the fact that anybody who signs up through that gets a discount, plus I get a discount as well. So that is very appreciated.
No,
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's see. We have The Killer Be Killed. I guess it's my turn to suggest one again. Do you guys like Supergirl?
Yes.
Okay, a long time ago, Peter David wrote Supergirl, and they wanted to change directions, and so they booted him off of it. Well, what Peter David did was he went out and he had a creator-owned IP,
Fallen Angel,
that he called Fallen Angel. Now they had it at DC for about 12 issues, and then they went to I forgot to get rid of
not to be confused with the William Hjortsberg book that got adapted into Angel Heart, I assume.
This is so much fun. It
really is.
I would start with the first 12 that was with DC, but definitely want to get to the Dark Horse stuff, because the Dark Horse is when he's like, oh wait, I don't have to follow the DC rules. I'm going to go fucking nuts. And I think you can read. I think you can read this without going to the DC, but still, yeah.
If we're bringing Dark Horse up, then at some point we're gonna have to get into something Magnolaverse related.
At some point in time. Alrighty, so I'm writing that down as one of my suggestions. We're going to Dalton here. Oh, you said, I've got your next one, and that was, and you can talk about why you think that we'll enjoy it, and how is it?
The list?
Yeah, no, I didn't, but he mentioned it 3 times here.
Spider-Man Fever is a 4-issue, I believe. It might have been 5-issue mini.
I've got it. I've just brought it up. Yep.
Yeah, miniseries, which is a Doctor Strange Spider-Man crossover, which you would be surprised just how many of those there are. They have been crossing over for pretty much as long as characters in the Marvel Universe have been able to cross over. But this particular story is about Peter gets a supernatural sickness, which is revealed to be a form of possession from a spider spirit, and so he calls Doc up, and it becomes a very weird mixture of a Doctor Strange story and a Spider-Man story. I think this was around the same time they were trying to give Spidey supernatural aspects to his powers, if I'm remembering correctly, with the whole spider spirit thing. In fact, it might have been one of the early tie-ins of that, but it's a really good showcase for both of those characters, and I really wish they had taken some inspiration from Spider-Man Fever when they did No Way Home, because I love anytime Doctor Strange crosses over with anybody, but particularly the Spider-Man crossovers are usually surprisingly good, because of course Pete gets to play the straight man in the world of mystical weirdness that Doctor Strange considers his 9 to 5, essentially.
I was wondering what would bring you to a Spider-Man book, and it is Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and also something really fun about the way they visually display Strange's spells in Spider-Man Fever. The person who wrote Spider-Man Fever actually has at least some familiarity with IRL esotericism, and so the glyphs that you see Strange use in Spider-Man Fever are based on planetary sigils from the Picatrix, which is just badass.
Right. Okay. Let's Dom. What is your third pick? We're going to make one more after this because I think we planned 3 months. Okay, I'm fine.
Yes, yes, we did. All right. Well, since we brought up the Malibu's Ultraverse earlier, it's like, why not? I'll throw in Mantra.
Alrighty. And that one you already explained there.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
But what I didn't mention is like whenever like Lucas dies and goes into a body, but like the host body is still alive, so he doesn't go to a dead one, which that defeats the point.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, like in Mantra, like him and Eden, like they do like fall in love like with each other. So while he still like adjusts to his new body and have balanced like his life, like balancing living Eden's life while also being a mystical superhero.
All right. I got to tell you, I mean, I read the book when it first came out. I not remember.
For my last one of the evening.
Just a second, because let me show off this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're not there yet. All righty, so let's see. Just to get that in there, this is a cover from Mantra. All righty. Oh, hold on, it is loading. All right, and then all right. This is a cover for Mantra, if you guys are unfamiliar. All right, good amount of cheesecake there. And then Glenzer suggested Shadow Man, which is from Valiant, which is one of my favorite Valiant comics.
Mine too.
Yeah, so
I recall you recommending that to me, and I have yet to get into it.
You like mysticism.
Really good.
This is voodoo.
Yeah.
And actually, the creative team, like you can tell they did the research like on what voodoo entails. And
that's always nice when they actually bother to do their homework. Which it's nice.
Spider-Man's Peter Parker, Parker and Doctor Strange, Peter Hoot and Doctor Strange. Oh
no,
together.
No, sir. No, this cannot stand. God damn it!
All right, now last pick of the night here for me. I gotta go old school with you guys here. So let me drop this one. We have to have something old, right? Other than me. I said it before Black Cat could say it.
But I'm bummed. Although, to be fair,
nice.
he wouldn't have been the only one saying it.
Devil Dinosaur, ladies and gentlemen. This is, and this is what I'm going to recommend. This is the entire series. There was only like 10 issues. Now, we could do the first 5 and do the next 5 down the road sometime, or we could do the whole damn thing. I say whole damn thing. But it is so much silly 70s stuff. This is awesome. For a writer, Jack Kirby is such a great artist. It is just a lot of fun, but my goodness gracious, it does delve into the silly sometimes. I love this book, man. I love this book. It's and of course it is drawn and it is also written by Jack Kirby, I do believe. But it's basically about caveman, whatever you want to call it, Cro-Magnon, whatever.
It's like a cave boy.
Cave boy, yep. And he is in trouble, and he finds this dinosaur, and they become friends, and they just are traveling the world trying not to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
It looks gorgeous because it's Jack Kirby, and it is just a lot of fun. I think when we talk about, I'm going to send you down the road of things you may not be comfortable with. I think I picked out something pretty good with Fallen Angel for you, Dalton. The dinosaur may be a little bit out in left field, but I think you're going to enjoy this. I think you're going to like this.
Well, I mean, it's very hard to go wrong with Jack Kirby in his prime. We call him the king for a reason, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. All righty. What would be your last pick? And audience, if you have a last pick, let me know as well.
I was going to say Jim Butcher's Dresden Files comics from Dynamite, but I think there was another one on our original list of suggestions that
I lost.
That might take a little bit more priority, which is Roy Thomas's Elric series.
Nice.
Elric of Melbourne.
Ooh, okay. Elric, 1973, Windy City Comics Group.
Roy Thomas, yes.
All righty. Let's bring this up then.
By the way, if you guys haven't looked into Roy Thomas Elric, prepare to see some of the most beautiful comics you will ever see, because the art style on the Elric books are freaking amazing.
Okay, I might not have the right one then. You might be thinking of a later thing, but it's what I found. This is the very earliest Elric.
Yeah, but I believe that's the cover of one of the novels. That's not the that's not the Roy Thomas Elric comic adaptation.
But at least we know what you're talking about. All righty. How about you, Dom?
Well,
I love the Shadow Man game. I had it on Dreamcast. That is such a great game.
Criminally underrated.
Yeah, of course, Dom.
Well, I wanted to bring out the original Eternals as they were before Marvel Comics and studios decided to screw them over. Instead, like another oldie but goodie, Dial H for Hero.
Otherwise known as Proto Ben 10 for those of us that grew up in the 2000s.
Now, are we talking 60s or 80s Dial H?
60s.
60s already. Put that down.
With the original user, Robbie.
All right, you can be my friend, sir. The 80s would have sufficed as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, like Chris and Vicky, like are worthy successors. Like there was to the H dial, like from Robbie.
And I specify again, if it weren't for Dial H for Hero, there would be no Ben 10 and no Omnitrix. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you could tell, like Joe Casey and the rest of the Man of Action team, like they are certified nerds.
Yeah, we owe those of us who grew up with the Ben 10 franchise in its heyday, owe Dial H for Hero a debt something fierce.
I love Dial H. Now I discovered it. As a matter of fact, if you look on this channel, you'll see that I did a comic book origin of Englentine because I've got a big ego. And I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about the first book that really got me as a collector, because I would read comics, but the one where I was like, oh, I got to go out and get more was Dial H for Hero, starring Vicky and Chris. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I actually sent in a hero. It did not get published, maybe because I traced an image off of Topps Baseball. I called it the Baseball Kid. I was 10, or maybe 11. Give me a break on it. All right. But it was a lot of fun because I had him where it was like he had different baseballs he could throw. So one would explode, one would have gas in it,
Oh, that's actually creative.
One would have like goop, and the baseball bat could be used for offense and defense because he could hit people.
This actually wouldn't be all that out of place in like a Silver Age context. I could see this working.
But actually. he could hit people with it, but he could also spin it fast, so it created a shield. And that was the plan. So
and he made his debut in the House of Mystery.
Yeah, this is the original Dial H for Hero. If you look up Dial H for Hero, you're by the title, you're going to get the Brian Michael Bendis from the 2000s. What?
Yeah, the Wonder Comics imprint.
Yeah, because
and we don't discuss Brian Michael Bendis on this.
we don't talk about Bendis. No, no.
No. Encanto
Why did
is
this
a bad
happen like
Disney
this?
movie.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I like Dial H for Hero. I think that's a good idea. Dark Admiral's like, not a terrible idea. You know what? Yeah, maybe that. I've been asked so many times, when are you going to put your comic book out? I don't. You know.
In an alternate 1960s where Eglantine was born, like 30 or 40 years earlier, this character exists.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I should put out a Silver Age like comic called The Baseball Kid. But yeah, regarding new comics, does Doctor Doom still practice mysticism?
Yes, he's still a practicing occultist as well as a scientist.
Despite every time he's shown up in movies, they unmystic him for some unfathomable reason.
No, most of the time they don't do their research.
Like the Tim Story version, I like the Tim Story Fantastic Four. I do. They are good, especially for when they came out. But why was it just we should give Cole from Charmed electrical powers for some reason? And then of course in Fan Four Stick it got even worse because I don't even think they gave a full explanation of why he gets the powers he gets in Fan Four Stick. It was just, well, I was left on an alien planet for too long and it like fused metal to my skin and also telepathy for reasons.
All right.
Or telekinesis.
Since I didn't see a new one from the audience, I'm going to take it because it's my channel.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't read this, and by all means, I'm inviting. This is something we're inviting you guys to join us in reading these, so you could talk about them. This is called Oz: A Gathering of Heroes. It's from Caliber Press. Dorothy hasn't been back to Oz in a while. She lands there, and all hell has broken loose. And yeah, it is such a great series. I managed to get all 3 trade paperbacks, which one of them is the third one is damn hard to find. So
yeah, it's hard to find, and I gotta say, like after all these years, like that series does a good job of showcasing like what happened. Showcasing like a continuation adventure, if you will.
Yeah, Dark Animal, $5 on Oz.
There's a lot of really interesting uses of the Oz IP over the years, folks.
Dalton, we look like nipples.
I mean, obviously, the one everyone knows, and as far as like adultified versions of Oz is Wicked, but there's a lot of really good uses of Oz IP. Which, speaking as someone for whom Wizard of Oz was probably one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid, it makes me happy that there's so much good use of Oz IP out there.
That's just thanks to the movie, I was introduced to the book series proper.
I read that when I was a kid. I read the entire series. I was into all of the series. Like I read The Hobbit and I tried to read the Lord of the Rings. I did read the Narnia books.
Oh, okay.
No. I was bored by the Lord. They got to Bombadil. When I was an adult, the movies come out. I said, you know what? And I'm going to read this thing. I picked it up. They got to Bombadil. And I was like, yeah, okay. It's like I didn't even skip past it. I just stopped.
I can understand why J.R.R. Tolkien's writing style is a non-starter for a lot of people because he was an English teacher, folks, and mythology expert and an archaeologist, and it shows because it reads like a Victorian academic reads.
Well, I read Moby Dick. Have you ever read that book?
Yeah.
There's like 13 pages describing a vine on a wall.
Yep, Victorian writing standards, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my Lord! It's like okay, yeah. Oh, let's get. I do the same thing with Stephen King though, because Stephen King got long-winded in.
Yeah, if Stephen King pushes your upper threshold for like over literary language, then I'm not surprised Tolkien made you tap out.
Well, with Stephen King, he's like it'll be like main character ran down the hall and the villain pressed him against the doorway, but that caused a loud thump, causing Carla from 4B to open and look to see what happened. And hold on, I'm not done. Sorry. Carla from 4B, who we will never meet again, by the way, grew up in Derry, Maine, where she had to deal with her abusive husband, who at one point in time was a steel mill worker. He drank too much, and it was like 5 different pages about these characters.
I get where you're coming from here. Yeah, like, I get where you're coming from.
Get a damn editor that can say no, Steven. Just say that.
I've always really liked like long form description, so it was never a problem for me. But if long form description is a turn off rather than a turn on for you, I can totally see why Tolkien made you tap out.
I've read damn near up to a certain point. By the way, Insomnia was one of them, Glenzer. I didn't hate it, but you are not wrong. That was one of the worst cases of what I'm talking about, though, where he would go off on tangents. I mean, that is a whole other book, Steven. Get to the freaking story. Break it down.
I have the opposite problem with Stephen King, where I love the way he sets up worlds and sets up large casts of characters and stuff, but the man cannot write an ending. If his life depended on it.
That is the biggest Stephen King
it's rather consistent
thing. Yeah.
His endings are rather hit or miss.
But look, I think the guy's a nut bar as far as politics, but you're not
unfortunately.
The man has talent and no one can take it away from him. But even what I would argue is his best work, which is The Stand, the full and unabridged version of The Stand.
I agree.
Falls victim of, I have set up this entire world with this entire lengthy cast of characters and these lengthy repercussions and stuff, but I can't think of how to end it, so I'm literally going to have God come down and boop the villain so he explodes.
Yeah.
Randall Flagg continues to appear like in different aliens in King's different books.
I mean, Stephen King loves his wandering gentleman trickster devils. It's not just Flagg. He loves. He
never read it.
Has that as a recurring motif more than even somebody like I would. Personally, for me, as far as Stephen King's trickster immortals go, I like Leland Gaunt a little bit better than I do Flagg. But I can.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I can understand. I can understand why Randall Flagg is Stephen King's favorite character to reuse. Even though the Dark Tower series does him dirty. I'm sorry, the Dark Tower series did Flagg so bad and made him such a lame ass.
Don't spoil anything. At some point, I will read it. I can't find them.
I am warning you now. If Flagg's menace and mystique matters to you, do not read the Dark Tower. They nerf him so hard.
Could you just stop? You and I don't like spoilers at all.
It's not a spoiler. It's a warning.
All right. But I do agree with one of the last book I started reading with Stephen King's before we moved was From a Buick Gate.
Oh, yeah.
When I can find it, I will finish it. Actually, I started 2 books. That one and one it's a newer one that took place in a church. Some kid meets a preacher and he raises him to be a preacher or something like that. Revival. Yeah.
Revival. That's the one.
I got to admit, I did kind of peter off. I'm trying to grow my Stephen King collection back, because I used to have at a certain point, I had all of the hardcovers, and we had a back porch that was screened in, and we put boxes back there, and my Stephen King books were in these boxes, and we just had a hurricane. By the way, those phone books I like to collect, these showcase, I had the Captain Carrot around here somewhere from showing it to you last night. But these things, if you get them wet, they blow up like a diaper. I had one, it got wet, and it went poof.
Dark Admiral, yes, Stephen King does owe a great debt to H.P. Lovecraft, which I think Stephen knows, because books like Needful Things, for example, were explicitly supposed to be Lovecraft homages. That's one of the reasons I dislike what the movie did in just turning Gaunt into a generic devil character, because so much of what made Mr. Gaunt an interesting character is the like quasi-Lovecraftian aspect. And as for Dr. Sleep, I'm in the minority here, but I think Dr. Sleep, the book, was better than the Shining book. And I know I'm in the minority here, but Dr. Sleep, the movie, is so much better than the Kubrick Shining by so many orders of magnitude. It's not even comparable.
You are not. I don't think you're in the minority on
No,
that.
you're not.
Honestly, I just do not think that you are in the minority.
People have a set of nostalgia blinders on when it comes to the Kubrick Shining, and I just don't get it at all.
It's hard for them to take off the nostalgia blinds and actually like think critically and look at it objectively.
Well, and I think what pisses me off the most about the Kubrick Shining is Stephen King has a very particular set of like weirdnesses that are unique to him. But instead of replicating Stephen King weirdness, in his version of The Shining, Stanley Kubrick just swapped anything Stephen King for things that he liked. And as a result, we wind up with a very pretentious, very unnecessarily artsy version of The Shining.
I agree.
And it comes off as being written by a hipster.
I think it's a fine movie. I don't hate it. It's just it's not
fine.
it's not a good scary movie.
Yeah.
It's it just is. And yeah, since we're talking, I thought this might be fun. If you guys disagree.
Now Rage, dude, that book is, if you want to talk about books that are hard to find, Rage is one of them.
I've got the Bachman books. I don't have the Rage by itself. I don't have any of the Bachmans by themselves, but I got the hardcover a long time ago.
Neat.
Yeah, those things are going for bank, by the way. I mean, if you find the original novel, it's gonna cost you, but damn. It's sad when they're remaking King movies instead of adapting novels that have never been a movie. Cough, cough, Damnation Game. That is a good one too. But yeah, if you guys want to step in, I figure if we're talking about Stephen King, I've always kind of wanted to.
Well, let's do a rank or ranking for.
Now this is first novel out the gate. You know what? Actually, I'm going to move this to good. I think he's still learning. There's things to be talked about here.
Carrie.
Carrie. Next up, we have Salem's Lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the great books, I think, in the amazing, and then I'll figure out what the top 5 is. If you guys disagree with what I'm saying, by all means, let me know. But I'm acting like this is my list. You guys, by all means, I will give veto powers to a certain extent. I don't
dislike Salem's Lot, but I will say I think it might be the weakest of the Castle Rock books.
Okay. Imagine if King wrote Carrie today, would women's groups protest him?
No,
would Carrie be a woman or would trans?
No.
Yeah. All righty. Rage is a very good book about a high school shooter.
Yeah. If you ask
the one that Steven feels ashamed of, and that's why it's not published anymore.
What is bull crap?
Yeah, that's his politics getting in the way of his creative side, I think.
One of my favorite lines from this, I am not saying it verbatim. I am paraphrasing, but it's something like he's walking down the hall and he says, and there's Carrie or whatever her name is, not the Carrie. It'll be like, okay, Trisha Arnett, something like that. And who I think I went to high school with. And he says, he says she smiles. It's a plain smile that could tell you, the kind of pretty that you find beautiful if you get to know him. And then she walks by. I turn my head. She could be she could be a queen, or a pinup girl or something. Talking about how sometimes the girls are better looking going than coming.
Right.
Yeah. How about veto powers? If I don't like your vote, you sleep with the fishes. Ha! Oh, all righty. Let's see. I'm going to change bottom 5 though. I don't really want to talk about the worst. What I will put down is unread. There you go. All right, The Shining. Talk what you want about the movie. I actually like the Weber version better, but this is an amazing book. It's an amazing
Oh yeah,
novel.
it's one of his classics for a reason.
The Weber, I enjoyed the Weber edition too.
Yep. I would say this straight up. The scene, how can you make a hornet's nest that fucking scary? An empty hornet's nest.
Well, they did it.
One of my favorite scenes in the book.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. And by the way, if you guys have thoughts on it, please. I don't want to shut you guys out of this. So please, by all means.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if you have something to say about a book. Next one up, we have The Stand. We already talked about this. I think this is.
But like the original cover for The Stand is, come on, it's classic, timeless, and it's better than this current one.
Yeah, this one.
It doesn't even.
I mean, The Stand is probably King's magnum opus. Full stop.
Glenzer is saying top 5: Carrie, The Shining, Cujo, Pet Cemetery, and the. Isn't that the first 5? No, it isn't, because Cujo came before Pet Cemetery. So did. I used to be. This is how much of a Stephen King fan I was. I used to be able to go. It was. Let me see if I can how close I can get to it. Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Shining, I believe Cujo, Dead Zone. Cujo's probably after that. But I used to be able to name them in order of release. I was such a fan of his. Let's see. Dr. Sleep was a good movie. The Shining, yeah, I enjoyed that one too. Night Shift, a collection of short stories. So The Monkey, by the way, which got a movie this year. Battleground, where a box of toy soldiers came to life to attack a mob hitman, is in this one. Gray Matter, where a guy drinks beer until he's the Blob. You have one that The Breathing Method, where a woman gets decapitated and still gives birth to her child. You have The Boogeyman, which is a man that's telling a story of how his kids died, but the boogeyman killed them.
Which also got turned into a movie.
Yep.
That also wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The adaptation game for Stephen King, I feel bad for him sometimes.
Children of the Corn. That's a whole other Stephen King list. Children of the Corn is in this one as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, cheap. All right. Next, another Bachman book, The Long Walk. They're making a movie out of this right now. And this is basically, it's a game show where it's kind of like a Japanese game show where if somebody fails, they get shot. In this case, you've got to walk. You got to keep a pace of 4 miles an hour. And if you don't, I think it's like, I think it's a marathon of some sort. Mm-hmm. And if you slow down too long, or because they'll warn you that you're slowed down, or if you stop, they shoot you. It's a really good book. It really is. But
also has some strong parallels to Logan's Run.
Okay. Dark Admiral says the Long Walk was absolutely brutal. Nobody likes Running Man. First of all, the movie was awesome.
Yes,
we'll talk about the book when we get to it. Here we have The Dead Zone. Dominic, have you read this?
A long time ago, and it remains a favorite of mine from King.
Where would you put it?
Ooh, I would place it in good.
Good. How about you, Dalton? You ever read this?
I don't think I have read this one, though. I hear a lot of good things about it, but it's never gotten to that part of my to read list.
This is one of those. This is one of those where I love the book. The movie is kind of like the Cliff Notes. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of time. It's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong, but there was a time where it seemed that's exactly what Stephen King movies were. It seemed like the Cliff Notes of the book. I love Christine.
Or they were adapting the premise of the book more than they were the actual story.
I love Christine. It is literally I mean, it doesn't have any of the characterization, but it's got all the beats in it.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Next
Which
up.
I think is one of the biggest problems of Stephen King adaptations, because so much of Stephen King's best work is in like the mechanics and the setup and the
Yeah.
actual like rules of the things.
Yes.
All righty. Next up, we have Firestarter. This one, obviously, it's a little this man and woman go to a scientific experiment where they're given drugs. Each of them gain powers. The man we know has mind control powers,
And then
and I think
they
the mother can read minds, and they gave birth to a girl who is a pyrokinetic who can start fires.
which to be fair, that's already been set up in the like Stephen King multiverse, because of course that was one of Carrie's powers as well, was pyrokinesis. I like the fan theory that says that that Carrie's father was actually Flag. I don't know if I want it to actually be confirmed as true, but I do like that as a fan theory.
Yeah. Glenn's are saying Firestarter, the novel, good. The movie, you can't win them all. You know what? I would put both of them in average. I don't think it was a bad movie. I just don't think it was a particularly good movie. I do, however, think that the remake from a couple of years ago was literally a bad movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, come on, like Firestarter. It sounds like this. What, you know what? If you're gonna make any new adaptations of King's works, be it a short story, a novel, a novella, or even like from his son Joe Hill, go animation.
That would be the way.
All right, go animation instead of live action, because you would not be bound with the limitations like of the former.
All right. Dance Macabre is basically Stephen King saying, I love this, for about 400 pages.
Yes.
It's a list of the things that he likes in horror and things that have
his influences and his things that have inspired him, etc.
It's not a bad book. It's just, after I read it, I never felt the need to go back and read it.
It's him fanboying about his influences for several hundred pages.
Every story that we've read, even the complete uncut Stand, I've read multiple times. I've never gone back to Dance Macabre, so I'll put it at average. It's not bad. It's just, there you go. All right. Yeah. Let's go back to Richard Bachman. We've got Roadwork. Who read this one?
Unfortunately, I have not.
Okay.
Nope, me either.
So this is, by the way, they did make a movie of it starring Christian Slater.
That's actually how I knew of this. Is through the movie.
Okay, so what this is a guy, his family is killed by a mobster, and he's thinking of ways that he can get to him because he's got bodyguards. It's not easy to get to him. So he knows he makes a certain drive every year, and he joins a road work crew where when he has off time, he digs a big ass hole in the road and he covers it. So and he ends up in the mobster ends up driving into it and he buries him. I just ruined the whole book, but yeah, it's a good book. It is a good book. I like this one.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Am I thinking Dolan's Cadillac or is it Roadwork? Maybe I've got it wrong, but I do believe. I thought Dolan's Cadillac was something different. Maybe I've got the stories wrong. It's been a while. Hold on, I'm gonna see. Road work premise. I could be wrong on this one. Road work also also called road construction, or road work occurs when okay, no. Let me put Stephen King. Grieving over the death of his son and the disintegration of his marriage, a man is driven to mental instability when he learns that both his home and his workplace will be demolished to make way for. Okay, maybe I did get this wrong. Yeah, I was describing Dolan's Cadillac. Dawes mild man who grapples with a bureaucratic indifference and fueled by a sense of injustice decides to fight back, leading to a confrontation with the forces that are destroying his life. I guess I got it wrong, but I'm still going to leave it in the good because I've got good memories of it. Alrighty. Let's keep going if y'all want.
Yeah,
Sure.
come on. Let's do it.
Oh, Cujo. Dalton, did you read this one? You haven't scored one yet.
I have. It's good. I have a soft spot for any of the Castle Rock novels, honestly. So yeah, this one's definitely in the good pile.
Okay. How about you, Dom?
Yeah, it's much like with any of his adaptations. It's just, Cujo the movie introduced me to the book, and it's still a rather tragic story, especially like when you like witness like Cujo's transformation from this like nice humble dog to that like the rabies really doing him in.
Yeah, oy vey, the transformation there.
Okay, I'm going to use a line that you used earlier. I may be in the minority on this one, but the movie's better.
Yep, you're not wrong.
Okay, here Cujo's novel and movie endings are very different. That's true. I think that's one of the reasons that makes the movie better. Also, there's an affair in this. The Dee Wallace's character, the mother, is in an affair, and it's just one of those. It's kind of like Jaws. If you ever read the book for Jaws, there are no likable characters. And I think the same thing in Cujo. Cujo, I don't like anybody in the book.
Yeah, assholes all the way down there. Yeah.
He knew how to write a-holes just as good as he writes his heroes and villains.
That being said, there are such things as likable a-holes, and unfortunately, these are not those.
No. So, in all honesty, I would put Cujo in average, but I'm going to let you guys score this one. All righty. The Gunslinger. This the only chapter of the Dark Tower series that I actually read. Did anybody else read this?
I am going to be controversial here because I don't like the Dark Tower franchise very much at all.
Where would you put it? I'll tell you what. We'll average out. Where do you put it?
Like it's difficult because it's well written. But because Stephen King decided to make Dark Tower his and I'm going to connect everything franchise, so many of the writing decisions and character decisions are baffling and terrible. The book is good. The content is bad. Is the best way of putting it.
Poor, average, good, because it doesn't sound like excellent.
Probably average because, like I say, the book is well written, but it's written about things that make no sense and are stupid.
Okay. How about you, Dom?
Well, if this was a proper cover ranking, I would give this an 8 as well, much like with Black Spiders.
All right.
I would place it in good because it is. As a series, it is well written, and Gunslinger is like helps establish what it's all about.
All right.
At the same time, I'm not afraid to acknowledge that there are chinks in the armor.
Chinese people?
So many. Wah, wah, wah,
Alrighty, so yeah. I'm gonna get shut down. Alrighty, so let's go with the Running Man. By the way, I heard they're remaking this one as well, and this is one that this is, by the way, is one that I welcome because as much as I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger Running Man movie, it wasn't the book. The book has him running across the country trying to hide from people, all the while he has to keep reporting in. It's a completely different story. I love the book. I love the story here. Have you guys read it?
Yeah, and although I say with the Running Man, it was its first adaptation wasn't by Schwarzenegger. It was done in the 70s as Logan's Run.
Okay, yeah, they were going to be killed because they aged out. But I'm putting this one under great. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it has a spot up there.
It goes in great. Yeah, but as for the Long Walk, I'm surprised that one.
You went full weird A. I have got more chins than Chinatown.
No, I'm just surprised that the Long Walk hasn't been turned into a movie or at least a TV miniseries.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, hey, Swordmaster. Well, we talked about we're going to be doing a new show. over on Mondays now called Tales from the Longbox, where we talk about old comics.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah. But then we started talking Stephen King, and I pulled out a tier list. So
we are tier listing some Stephen King is what we're doing now.
Okay, Different Seasons, ladies and gentlemen, has Apt Pupil. It's got the Body, which it became Stand By Me. It's got The Green Mile.
Yep.
Not The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, and
I was gonna say I thought this was the collection that also gave us Shawshank, but
yeah, and then another story I can't remember. Maybe this is the one with the breathing method. But
no.
What is the last story here?
Oh, the last one was. Oh no! It's not that one. I was thinking of the other adaptation with Johnny Depp, but that is part of the different seasons.
I think that's a different one. Different Seasons. Stephen King.
Like the last one should not be escaping me.
I know. Like I said, I used to be such a fan. I would never have done that.
All I can think of is the short story with the girl and the magic chocolate.
Oh, this is the one. This is the one with the breathing method.
Oh.
Okay. So you know all the other ones: Shawshank, Apt Pupil, and Stand By Me. The breathing method is kind of like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Ghost Story, but it's got a lot of. It's got a bunch of guys sitting around telling ghost stories. In this case, it talked about the woman who had her head severed, yet she still delivered.
Managed to conceive a child.
Or no, deliver a child.
Well, carry a child and deliver it. Yeah.
But the 3 out of 4 is not bad, and this one goes in the great pile for me as well. For the Body alone, it deserves to be that high. Shawshank Redemption is an incredible story.
Yeah, which became an even more incredible book, which defined an entire generation and altered all of cinema for the better.
Crap.
I think.
I don't know if we're going to do all these, but I'll do to where I kept reading, and then I'll stop. All right, so Pet Sematary, I read that in school instead of studied. It got me, man. This is a book that I had nightmares about. With the way he described the guy with his head bashed in, the guy hit by the truck. Yeah. Did y'all read it?
Yeah.
Where would you put it?
I'll put it in great.
In great. How about you, Dalton?
Yeah, I have to agree. That's probably where it belongs.
That's actually one lower than what I would do, but okay, I'm gonna listen. All righty, we've got, let's see, Cycle of the Werewolf. I'm sure we'll get there. Oh, hey, guess what?
Right on cue.
I have been wanting to read this as a Halloween thing forever and a day. Like, I did a reading just for fun of A Christmas Carol because I hadn't read A Christmas Carol in forever and figured why not make content out of it. I've been wanting to read this. I love this book. You guys read it?
It is it was adapted well as a comic done by the late great Bernie Wrightson.
It's in this one. You can actually see it right there, illustrated. He's got like 1-page illustrations every 3 or 4 pages,
which actually makes this technically an illustrated novel.
Yes. This one I'm taking to the top, by the way, guys. I don't care.
Yeah, that makes sense. No arguments here.
I know some people don't like it. I did. I also liked Silver Bullet, which is a silly werewolf film with one of the worst werewolf costumes ever. But I enjoy the heck out of it. I'm not going to go to the cops and tell them people are being killed by Reverend Werewolf.
Next.
But it is so entertaining, this book. All right. Let's see. Next up, we have Christine. Oh, this is going to the great pile. I love it. The book is so much better than the movie because
John Carpenter movie. I mean,
it's not a bad movie. I like it.
Yeah, it's good, but when you read the book, it's better.
Yes, because you get characterization. You find out that the car is actually possessed by its owner, its ex-owner.
Yeah. So much of what makes Stephen King books great is his attention paid to like the mechanics of things, and almost no Stephen King adaptations actually keep true to the mechanics of the things he includes.
The movie answers what happens. The book tells you what happens and answers the question why.
Yep.
All right, going next up, we have The Talisman by Peter Straub.
May he rest in peace.
Yes, okay. But this is an average book. I'll tell you why. If you guys disagree, you can fight me on it. This is a book where you have a kid. He's going to what end up being, what is that 7-book series again?
The Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
This is really like the prologue to the Dark Tower. And you have this kid going in, and he's on this trip, this road trip, and he meets a werewolf. He meets a wolf man. And the wolf man gets killed. And then 3 chapters, he meets a wolf man, and he acts exactly like the one that got killed. It reminds me of that Beer Fest by the people who did Broken Lizard, who did Super Troopers, where they introduce a guy, they kill him off, and it's like, I'm his twin brother. You can call me by his name. I don't care.
Yeah, so in The Talisman, it's a but it's not the first prologue of the Dark Tower series. There's this, Eye of the Dragon, and Insomnia, because it is the first appearance of the Crimson King.
That being said, Eyes of the Dragon is so much better than Talisman.
Where would you? I don't remember this book, so I do remember I read it, but I don't remember it. If you could score it,
Eyes of the Dragon.
Yeah.
For me, it's going in the amazing pile. I love Eyes of the Dragon.
What do you think?
Even though we already established that The Stand is probably Stephen King's greatest book in terms of like a magnum opus, I will say that I actually like the way Flag is used in Eyes of the Dragon a little bit better than I do in The Stand. Heresy, I know, but there it goes.
Bernie Wrightson also did artwork for the Dark Tower. I did not know that.
Yeah. But
cool.
But to make it a long story short of Eyes of the Dragon,
Too late.
Tell a story of 2 brothers who are princes of their kingdom. However, one goes into hiding as he was set up for a murder he didn't do, and
he didn't.
Other brother is essentially set up as a
He didn't go into hiding. He got locked in a cell because royalty. But yeah. Long story short, there is a kingdom called the Lane where Randall Flagg, or in this book, I think just Flagg, is acting as essentially the court wizard, and the king who he serves is kind of a bumbling puppet king, and the story is about who takes the throne after the bumbling puppet king ages out and dies. Flagg obviously wants the child who is the product of his magic to be the king, but prior to the aging king's death, he slew a dragon and ate its heart, and as a result, the firstborn child of this king is a avatar of the White, aka the Shine, as per Stephen King's mythos, and of course, Flagg is scared shitless of a one true king because, well, every time the avatar of the White shows up, the wandering trickster immortal gets the short end of it. So he conspires to rob Peter of his rightful place on the throne and put Thomas, who is the product of Flagg's magic, in his place. And just long story short here, Eyes of the Dragon is what Dark Tower wishes it was, honestly.
Now the brothers, they do show up again in the Dark Tower.
They do, but as with so many things in the Dark Tower, they were not used well.
Yes, although Father Callahan from Salem's Lot, he was handled well.
And unfortunately, Flag in the Dark Tower was reduced to the level of a Saturday morning cartoon villain and a bitch.
You're not wrong.
Alrighty.
But let's continue.
Let's continue. All right. The next one up is Thinner.
Dinner.
The last of the Richard Bachmans for a while, as a matter of fact. I know he did one.
One.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
This is the last one, the Dark Calf. Yeah, but Thinner again. I was introduced to this one through the movie.
Okay. This, in all honesty, the movie and the book are kind of a 1-for-1. That is a very well adapted movie. Yeah, whether or not you say the book is good or not, I would put it as good. I don't think it's great or anything. If you guys think it's better, let me know. Yeah, but I would put it in the good category.
It really like he took like took body horror or like in a direction where instead of like a terrifying transformation, the guy's losing weight, but he's gonna die by becoming nothing but skin and bones until he is skin and bones.
Yeah. The Skeleton Crew has some very good stories in it. I was looking through them. I was like, wait, I think this is the one with the monkey. I mentioned that in Night Shift, but this is the one with the monkey. Grandma scared the shit out of me. I like the Reach word processor of the gods was good.
Now,
the Jaunt.
Also, the Mangler.
That was in Night Shift.
Now,
this has the Mist.
Skeleton Crew or Night Shift?
Yeah, this has the Mist and the Raft. Yeah, but I would bring this up to great myself. I do appreciate that.
Actually, now just to double check, was the Lawnmower Man in Night Shift or Skeleton
Night
Crew?
Shift. That was in Night Shift.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you ask me, like the movie, and I liked it better. Better than the short story.
All righty. Wow, the Lawnmower Man movie.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they're two different things for sure.
Oh yeah, but also it was made during that period like in the 90s where every work of fiction was exploring virtual reality in cyberspace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we've got it.
It's going to the top.
It's going all the way to the top. I got fired for this one because I think the sex scene is between. I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the boys of the Losers
Club. And I brought it. I was talking about it. I said, "Well, that's." I was reading it at work, and I brought it up. I said, "This is horrible." And some woman said I was sexually harassing her because I talked about it. And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
It's just that's the scene that happened in it, and yet with each of the adaptations, we have yet to see Return the Turtle in live action.
I'm still waiting for my giant turtle. God damn it!
Again, look, if anyone decides to do a Brotherhood treatment of making new adaptations of Kings, but which include adapting stories and short stories and novellas that have been adapted, go animation instead of live action.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I would just give them a bigger budget and actually include all the weird shit. But also task Mike Flanagan with doing them because Mike Flanagan is really good at adapting Stephen King.
Yeah, I say go. Yeah, I agree. Okay, next up, I put Drawing of the Three, and I have not read it. But next up, we have Misery.
Misery, another classic.
Where would you score Misery?
Ooh, I'll place it in great.
Great.
Yeah, okay. I agree with them. It's so hard with the iconic ones because it's like,
can you judge them?
Separately from their reputation, and it's hard to do it with a lot of his really iconic ones.
You guys like Misery better than I do. I like the story. The problem is Stephen King decided to write a romance book in the middle of it. That the first time I thought stopped the story dead every time I
can understand where you're coming from there.
So now when I read, by the way, he does the same thing in The Body. He actually has a story supposedly written by the main character, and that's what happens here. And I'm like, yeah, now I skip those parts.
Mm.
I haven't read the full Misery novel in 30 years, excuse me.
Now,
understandable.
To the movie's credit, it actually improved the source material by not including it.
Yeah, by actually having the romanticization more like Stockholm Syndrome, which it probably should be.
Okay, convince me that this book does not deserve to be in poor.
What, the Tommyknockers?
Yep.
Nah, I don't. It doesn't belong in poor.
I have to agree with E on this one. Everything that the Tommyknockers has ever touched, be it a movie adaptation or the original book, just like Stephen King's bibliography would actually be better off without the existence of the Tommyknockers.
Right. The only thing Tommyknockers did was
it doesn't deserve in poor. Like, no, it does. It just showcased like King when he was like in the coke.
He was big into drugs at this point in time. The book, I've never finished this book.
Yeah, it you can tell.
It is so poorly written. I've never finished it. The only good thing I could say about it is it started Tracy Lord's legitimate career in Hollywood.
And that's good for him, but that is literally the only good thing that can be said.
That is the only good thing I can say about it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Again,
next.
Cocaine.
And by the way, keep your comments going. I am reading them. Black Spider says Dark Tower Gunslinger and a few others is just one giant story. Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I was waiting for it to come out all at once, and then we moved, and the books got put in storage, and I haven't seen them since.
Yeah, and that story is a pile of crap.
Marvin,
Thinner is a great both movie and book. Say again.
Let Engleton be the judge. But also,
I'm sure he will form his own opinions. I mean, it's not the first time we've disagreed on a thing. I would just say that for my money, Dark Tower just is such a waste. It's such a waste.
Okay.
Well, I think, it might not completely change your mind, but once upon a time, like Marvel Comics actually has to collaborate with King and do a prequel series of the Dark Tower.
I have heard that the comic prequel is actually really good. I will get around to reading it eventually. So many of the creative decisions in Dark Tower just rubbed every part of me the wrong way.
So Dark Admiral is talking about Thinner, saying it's both a good movie and book. Kari Wurr. He's also saying that Night Shift is better than Skeleton Crew. I agree. They're both very good, but I do like Night Shift a bit better. Agree, Lawnmower Man is a good flick. You guys have at it. Dark Half, where it's Stephen King basically writing him and Richard Bachman in one book.
It's a good one.
It's a good one?
Yeah.
All right. We'll put it in good.
Yeah.
Let's move on because there's a lot of books. Okay, 4 Past Midnight.
Ooh, 4 Past Midnight.
So this is where we have the Langoliers, we have the Secret Garden, and we have goodness gracious, it's the library. I remember the Library Policeman. I like that one. And I think something about Sun Dogs.
Langoliers is in the same category as Tommyknockers, where I'm just like, no, Stephen, no.
I'm gonna say there's too good, too bad, and that makes it an average book.
Yeah,
because there is no story that's great. Like I didn't mind Langoliers. I thought Secret Garden was okay. Secret Window, Secret Garden was okay. I think Sundogs and and the Langoliers were the only ones that I legitimately liked. No, actually, it was the Library Policeman and the Langoliers that I liked. Yeah. So 2 out of 2.
Yeah.
2 out of 4.
Again, like that, like those ones have yet to be adapted.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's next week. Oh, shiitake. Nope.
We were just talking about Needful Things.
I'm not even having discussion on where it goes. You can tell me why you disagree if you want, but you're wrong.
Yeah, Needful Things is it's not quite as flawless as The Stand. Because I will maintain that The Stand is probably Stephen King's best work, full stop.
Mhm.
But I will tell you that there has not been an October since I started reading Needful Things that I don't revisit Needful Things every October.
Needful Things is one of my favorite Stephen King works. I love it's. We were talking about him like The Stand. He builds a world, and in Needful Things, he builds the perfect town.
It is small town incarnate, and especially when you remember that this isn't just any small town either. It's specifically Castle Rock, which has had appearances in Salem's Lot, Dark Half, Cujo, etc.
Yep.
It works on so many levels. And as I mentioned earlier, Stephen King loves his Southern Gothic Satan trope, and Flag is probably his favorite version of that. But I gotta say, between Flag and Leland Gaunt, I will take Leland Gaunt most of the time.
Oh, no. No, I'm going to talk about Gerald's Game or book 3.
Gerald's Game. I don't know if you guys have seen the Netflix adaptation, but the Netflix adaptation
I did
captures the like weird claustrophobia of it really, really well.
I agree.
Okay, give me just a second here, guys. All right. Okay, cool. Oh, nameless narrator seeks revenge for his wife's death by the hands of a crime boss named Dolan. Okay, that was Dolan's Cadillac I was describing. All right, there's a book coming up that I want to talk about. All righty, so anywho, let's get to Gerald's Game. These two go together. There's a scene where Dolores Claiborne looks into the well, a well, and Gerald looks under a bed, and they see each other. So these two are kind of connected. Gerald's Game, I thought, was the first time I read it, I was like, okay, what am I reading? But I was actually really into it. I'm going to put this in the great. What do you guys think?
That's fair.
I
think that's where it belongs. Have you seen the Netflix adaptation?
Oh yes, absolutely loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it's really freaking good.
The thing is, I actually think that this is just as good, but just a little bit better. I would put it right there if I were like ranking these, because I think these two are excellent novels that go together.
Oh yeah, it's also they were made like during a time where King was showing people that he's not limited to just one genre of fiction. In this case, horror.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's capable of doing other ones.
Next up is another short story book called Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I think this is my favorite short story collection of his. I was looking through Dolan's Cadillac. The End of a Whole Mess is where a genius wants to make it so people aren't so violent towards each other, and he ends up making everybody brain dead drones.
Oh dear.
Yes, that's essentially a
dystopia is gonna dystopia.
Suffer the Little Children is about a teacher who sees one of her students as an alien, and then thinks she sees another one as an alien. So she invites all her students down into the basement of the school to kill them one by one. The Night Flyer is about a single prop airplane pilot that has an encounter with a vampire. It Grows on You is... oh no, I don't know that one, but I don't remember that one. But the Chattery Teeth was somebody being chased by novelty teeth.
Yeah, I remember.
I dug on that one. I'm looking at these as we're reading out. The good comes of that one. Start seeing sneak. They got a hell of a band is where a couple, and it's like the Twilight Zone. They end up in a town where all of the dead rock stars are.
Mm.
And they don't want the whereabouts of this town to be known. So all of the dead rock stars are trying to kill these two. Yeah, these such great freaking stories in this one. It's my favorite. This is going to great. I don't know if we lost our audience or not. Dark Admiral stopped talking, and I think he was the only one.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to bring that one all the way to the top. We're getting to the end of my Stephen King run anyway. It Grows on You was used in the first Creep Show. It was King's Story. Oh, okay, like the Lonesome Death of Jody Verrill. Yeah. Let's see. What do we have next? We've got Insomnia. Wow. Okay. Next up, we've got
causes exactly the thing it's purported to cause.
Oh my gosh, it is not good. Glinzer was so right about that book. Rose Matter is it was made into a TV show. It's about a halfway house for abused women that has like a portal into hell or something like that.
Well, but it's not a portal to hell. It's a portal to a fantasy world.
Okay, there you go. You like that one? Where would you rank it? Would you rank it amazing, good, average, bad, good? That's where I put it too. Yeah, I dug on that. I like Creepshow the movie, man. That is just some good stuff.
That's good.
Oh, The Regulators and Desperation. Did you read these?
I don't think I have.
Regulators. Read The Regulators, Desperation as well, and it's essentially continuing. Well, it's not a continuation, but it continue to like what Talisman and sequel introduced, whereas it showcased twin universes.
Yeah, my daughter's talking about Rose Matter. Yeah, she reads Stephen King books as
All
well.
right.
Yeah, we're doing a tier list of Stephen King. Yeah, I would put this one in good. I would put Desperation with it. Although I did like Desperation better than the that's average. All right, let's go down to so what is this? I read both of them. I like Desperation more. Me too. Green Mile, which was released, by the way, in individual chapters. I don't know if you guys were around for when it was originally released. Now you can get it in a full book form. But it was like every week or every month or something, he would release a different chapter for a while. And this had me. I was like, holy shit, got to go get a new chapter. Green Mile's out. Green Mile's out.
That's interesting. He pulled the Dickens with it.
Yeah,
I did not know, but that is interesting.
He did. He liked to experiment with everything. But yeah, Green Mile is amazing. I love that book. It is just amazing. Did you read Green Mile, Elizabeth? No, recommend it. Let's go. Oh, where are we? Look, I'm putting all of these here. Bag of Bones. A guy moves into a house. He's a writer. He divorced. No, his wife dies, and he meets a young lady, befriends her, but she's got trouble with the local mob or something like that. Yeah, it's average. It's a read it or don't kind of thing. It was a serial essentially about Green Mile. Dark Admiral says, yeah, it was pretty good. Oh, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Did you guys read this one?
I don't think I have. I don't know if Tom has.
I think he might have dropped. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon is about this girl. Her mother and father recently got divorced, and her older brother always argues with her mother. So she put on a radio show. She learned to love baseball, hanging out with her dad. And her favorite pitcher, Tom Gordon, is going to be pitching a game. So she puts the radio on, and she loses. They're walking through a path in the woods, and she turns left instead of right and ends up lost in the woods. And it's basically the radio show that gives her strength and keeps her going. They throw in a demon bear because it's Stephen King. But really, I think it would have been good without Yeah, I think it would have been just as good without that particular part of the story with the demon bear. All righty, next up, Hearts in Atlantis. This is another novella where you have the Hearts. What is it? The Low Men in Yellow Coats, which was turned into a movie with Anthony Hopkins called Hearts in Atlantis. Hearts in Atlantis is actually a story about a bunch of college kids who get caught up in a game of hearts that they refuse to leave, and they end up, some of them, it's during the Vietnam War, and some of them get kicked out of college. It's such a simple story, but I was hooked.
I don't think I've read that one.
You don't think you've read this one? I'm trying to remember the rest of the stories because I know
it doesn't sound familiar to me. I think we might be getting to the end of my knowledge of Stephen King.
Okay, so it's 3 novellas: Low Men in Yellow Coats, Hearts in Atlantis, and Blind Willie. I could not tell. Willie Sherman is a Vietnam veteran who lives in Connecticut, but still sits particular sidewalk location downtown.
Yeah, never heard of that one.
I'm going to put this in average because, in all honesty, I had to look up the other stuff. I like Hearts in Atlantis. The other books I could tolerate, so I'll put this in average. Hearts ties into the Dark Tower. Says, the Heart. Apparently, he's supposed to be in whatever universe the Dark Tower takes place, and that's why the Low Men are going. Stephen King on writing, a memoir of the craft. I can't put it in amazing, but I am going to put it in great. If you're interested in writing at all, this is such a great book. Now, I never read it. I had it on audiobook because I figured if you were going to get Stephen King to talk about writing,
you'd want him to actually tell you about it.
Yeah, let him tell you. So yeah. So I listened to it on my paper route. It was really, really good. I highly recommend that one. And hello to Dominic.
Yeah, you are right there. You are right there, Dom. Your mic was doing a weird scratchy thing for a second.
Yeah. Pop on, see if it's still doing it. Oh, I see. Okay, here we go. Dreamcatcher. What do you say there, Dom? Or am I by myself at this point, or did I drop?
I think it might be on Dom's end, but I know he was gonna do a thing, or rather, we were gonna do a thing earlier. So I don't know if he's even still around.
Oh, we can stop. I mean, I was doing this just to chill.
No, it's fine. I have to double check on Twitter though, because I'm pretty sure he and I were supposed to do a thing like an hour ago, and we didn't.
Go do the thing. Yeah, I'm not going to hold you. We can do that.
I'll be back if I'm missing the mark here, but I don't know if I am.
I'm one of the few people. Can I find it? I put it up here. Where did I put it? There it is. Dreamcatcher. I don't know anybody who likes Dreamcatcher. I did. I thought it was a fun book. I'm not saying it was great, but I would put it in the good. So yeah. Let's see. Next up, I've never read Black House. I have it, but I've never read it. Alrighty, and here's Dominic again. How you doing, dude?
Okay, finally.
Okay, so Dalton went off looking for you. He wondered if you dropped out because you guys were planned on doing something.
No. No. Well, yeah. Well, that was the original plan. However, I had to step out because, well, that StreamYard was acting up on me again.
Okay.
But, well, yeah. Well, actually, I was gonna tell him that the live stream that he'll be guest starring in and has been rescheduled for tomorrow instead of today because it was like another friend of mine had a long day from work.
Okay, no worries, man. I just want to make sure I'm not keeping you guys through stuff.
No, you're not.
Because I started doing this as a lark, so yeah. I've got some of these books and I've never read them. I'm going through just getting the ones.
Yeah, actually his mystery novels, I was like, I haven't read either, but I do know I do know the Haven from Sci-Fi. It was based on the excuse me. I should not be blanking on its name. The kid. No, it had kid in the title.
Wow. I have. What do we got? We've got Joyland, Doomakey, Steven, the Colorado Kid.
Yes, thank you. That's the one, the Colorado Kid.
I think I've got these, but I have not read a Stephen King book in a long time. I just stopped. It's not for any, like I read the short story books, but it's not for any reason. It's not like I was like, oh, Stephen King and his politics, I'm never going to read them again. I would never do something
like, you haven't read them yet.
Yeah. For one, we hit a bad patch as always. I as usual, I couldn't afford it.
Now, Doctor Sleep, like it's a good sequel. Sort of like to The Shining, but also it's better than The Shining.
Hold on, is he in? Here you go. Dom's back.
Yeah. By the way, Dom, are we still doing the Real Millennials tonight? Because I thought you said Thursday.
Yeah. So it turns out, there's a change of plans. Plans like Wolf had a long day for work, so he's moving today's episode of the Real Millennials to Friday, where he's not so tired.
Okay, that's fine. I assumed that was why you were dropping in and out. That's why I went to double check and see if we were still doing it, because I was like, okay, good. As long as I wasn't being confused.
No, you weren't.
Anyway, we got to Dr. Sleep then, and yeah, Dr. Sleep's awesome. This is one of the few cases, though, where I actually like the book's ending better than I do the movie's ending. I get why they had to do the semi-tragic ending in the movie, but it's one of the few Stephen King books that has a happy ending, and I actually really like the happy ending, and I think it's earned.
And also like Top Hat, like she's established as a very dangerous villain, and also established that was a type of vampire that you don't see all that much in fiction, and that is the psychic vampire. The True
Knot are great villains, and Rose the Hat in particular is it's amazing. Rebecca Ferguson played her in the movie, and that was a star-making role that she did as Rose in the movie.
So where do we go with Dr. Sleep? Great, amazing.
I would place it in great. How about you, Dalton?
I would actually go so far as to say amazing, but I am willing to leave it at great if you guys want to. Because I really liked the book, and maybe it is because the movie adaptation was also so good. But yeah, Dr. Sleep is amazing, and where Kubrick did his own thing and the Shining suffered for it, I think Mike Flanagan really did his best to adapt Stephen King style weirdness, which was nice.
If you ask me, it's not that hard to say he's the heir apparent of making proper King adaptations.
Yeah, and Rebecca Ferguson should have gotten an Oscar for Rose the Hat in Dr. Sleep, honestly.
Yeah. Now I will say Black House, that was another collaboration between King and Straub. Straub, he's a great writer in his own right, and if you ask me, he helps balance out King and his life and the flaws in his writing.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
I agree with you. I agree with you, Dark Admiral. It's really hard not to put Dr. Sleep higher, just because it's one of the few cases where Stephen King tried to make an outright sequel and it worked really, really well. And again, the movie adaptation was amazing as well.
Okay.
Now, from a Buick 8, all I can tell you, it's not like Christine.
It isn't. I've only read the first quarter of it, so right now I would be putting it in the good pile.
No, that fits in well.
Okay. I don't think it's great, but so far it's good. But at least it held my attention. I want to find it so I can finish it. All right.
It's a shame that that the Buick 8 has been adapted as well, because like the low men were actually featured like in that book.
Really? Okay. Can we let's talk about a poor book.
So yeah.
All right. Here's the thing. I'm going to say something positive about the Cell. The first 40 or 50 pages, I thought, holy shit, okay, this is a great setup. I mean, this is really cool.
And then it went precisely nowhere other than in the toilet.
And yeah, and then it gets, okay, the people who were affected are now like a different version of humanity. And I was like, oh, come on. You have your zombie story here, man. Yeah. What the hell?
Steve, stick the landing, Steve. God damn it.
You've got people who are enraged because why are you making them a hive mind collective? And yeah, so
right.
I think he wanted to do his Invasion of the Body Snatchers is what he wanted to do, I think.
It's such a great opening. Like I said, the first 50 pages. And from there it really is like, woo, oh fuck.
Well, it's a microcosm of the perennial Stephen King problem, which is he is amazing at setup and world building. He can be utterly shit at follow through and payoff.
It's like you're riding really fast up the mountain. You can't wait to go even faster down the hill on the other side, only to find out that you've been riding up a cliff.
Joe,
yeah.
On the hand, well, the other side of the scale, his son Joe Hill writes better endings than his old man.
There you go.
This is also true.
All right, let's see what was it. Now, mind you, all of these I have not read, and I want to, and I own a lot of these. That's the problem. Like I bought them and I never picked them up. But I do own Black House. I own all chapters of the Dark Tower. I have Colorado
Blaze,
Kid.
I still need to read.
I have Blaze. I have Lacey's Story and Doom McKean. I don't think I have Under the Dome, but yeah, I want it.
Now,
I think I have Joyland. Yeah, any good?
Yes, a solid murder mystery.
I started reading Revival.
Yeah, I still need to read that as well as Joyland.
Right.
As well as The Outsider.
Haven't read that. I think I read If It Bleeds, but I don't remember enough to actually say I did, so I put it there. Everything's Eventual, ladies and gentlemen, another short story book. But let's talk about this one because it has singularly Stephen King's, I don't know, maybe I'll put top 5, but definitely it might be in contention for the best. 1408.
Yes.
Yep. That's fair. I was wondering when we would get to 1408.
1408 is in this book. It is so incredible. It damn near carries the rest of it. But the rest of the book has things I like the Death Room, where you have a guy who's being held by militants, and he's being this all actually talk about things that Stephen King did as experiments. These were stories that were first released as an audiobook. And the audiobook, every story has something to do with cigarettes or somebody in their smokes. And the audiobook came in a Marlboro pack. So you would lift it open and just take the tapes out like they were cigarettes.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Awesome. That's cool.
This was when I was doing my newspaper route, and I bought audiobooks because I was out late at night. And after, when you get tired of hearing Whole Lot of Love for the 1 millionth time. So I just started getting audiobooks, and that was one of the best. So there's a lot of stories here I do like. Everything's Eventual. LT's Theory of Pets is good. The Man in the Black Suit, which I think has to do with the low men. In the Death Room, as I said. The Riding the Bullet. Lucky Quarter. There's so many good stories in here. I do like this one. That being said, there's a whole bunch I don't remember. I'm gonna move this one up to great. Actually, I'm gonna put. No, I think it'd be fair to put it at good.
1408 also got a really good movie adaptation as well. While we're taking the movie adaptations into account.
1408 alone. Okay, we'll go. Like Quitters Inc. from Cats. I loved Quitters Inc., dude. Quitters Inc. is awesome. Oh yeah, Quitters Inc. had to do with smoking. One of my favorite stories in Everything's Eventual is a guy who's meeting up with his wife who asks for a divorce, and he has no idea why, and she's giving him the whole shit about. Well, if you don't know the reason why, that's exactly why I need to.
Yeah, if I have to tell you why I'm upset, then that's precisely why I'm upset in the first place.
And then
I shouldn't have to tell you. You should just
while
know.
they're sitting at this dinner, or it's a lunch, while they're sitting at this lunch, a waiter goes crazy and starts shooting up the restaurant, and he works to get his wife out of the building. And I'm going to spoil it for you. She then says, "You just don't know," and she walks away. There's like all that effort to save her life, and she's still going to take half his shit.
What in the? Oh God! Yeah. Also, while we're here, uncomfortably like real life events.
I know, right?
But that's neither here nor there.
All right, I got to look this one up because I'm looking up the short stories to remember what was in them, if I liked it or not. Just before, because I did read, I didn't read a lot of the novels, but I did read a whole bunch of the short story books that came out. Yeah, basically anything that could be read on the job.
well, eventually when we do cover 11/20/22/63, I have a lot to say.
Okay. Oh, do you know this one? This book?
Which one? Just After Sunrise?
Just After Sunrise.
Oh,
I believe we're having technical difficulties again, Dom.
I don't remember. I read this book because
that's actually a series. Well, that's a. No, I say like I have yet to read Just After Sunset.
I remember these stories, but I don't remember reading them. Willa, a group of travelers found themselves stranded in a railroad station waiting for a train that never seems to come to replace the one they've been traveling in. I remember these, but I don't remember a goddamn thing about them except for Stationary Bike. That's the one where a guy's exercising on a stationary bike and he goes fast enough to transport himself into a different dimension.
Okay.
I love Gray Matter, Night Shift, all of those. The Night Shift is one of, if not the best of the. Well, no, I've got to go. I still have to go with Nightmares and Dreamscapes for being the best. But from what I remember of these, I'm going to put it in average because none of them are really hitting the memory button. All righty. Let's talk about JFK being slain in Dallas. Dominic, you wanted to talk about it. Let's hear it.
Well, after the release of the JFK files, this one hasn't engaged well at all.
Really?
Oh dear.
Yeah, because like King said, like he did his own research. He did his own research, as well as the conspiracy theories. There's like tied to it, and he went on with the long-standing belief that that the shooter did it on his own. But after the release of the JFK files, which anyone can read because it's accessible. Yeah, I wonder
you can't.
He's gonna change his mind.
You can't really blame him for lack of foreknowledge, 20 years ago.
Let's see.
Granted, I think The Stand aged amazingly well for how it was written, and the first time I ever read The Stand, it was during the 2020 pandemic. So he does get points for for prescience, but I don't think you can hold the JFK files against 11/22/63.
Yeah. Let's see, Ella, what's it like being on the other side of this? Dom dropping out midnight. Oh yeah, I know, right? I'm understanding because I've done it so many times. Yeah, but it is a little bit annoying. Just not. I'm annoyed at Dom. But I want to
It's
hear
a
what he has to
vexatious
say.
quirk of
Yeah.
StreamYard being annoying.
Yeah, I want to hear what he has to say. So yeah, it is a little bit annoying when it's happening. Okay, I love this. This is amazing to me. I'm going all the way up. What do you guys think?
Look, 11/22/63 is not a bad novel, but again, it does like make you laugh, especially after the release of the JFK files.
Okay, I'm gonna put it up there because it's still a great fantasy
Yeah,
novel.
I don't hold
Yeah.
I don't hold the JFK files against 11/22/63. That's a little bit silly.
It's not trying to be a documentary. It's not. It's still a fiction book.
It's Stephen King being sensationalist is what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yep. We have not gotten more than 6 viewers all night, but I've been enjoying doing this, guys. I know it extended the live stream, but I've been enjoying doing this. I would love to do this with the Stephen King movies. Just saying.
The movies would really be an interesting be an interesting one. Although we'd have to include some of the made for TV ones if we're being honest with ourselves.
Absolutely. But the thing is I would love to do the movies. I also think that it would have more discussion from the chat. I think more people have seen Stephen King movies than read Stephen King books.
I think it'd also be interesting just because the ones that have been remade over and over have different adaptations. And so, for example, the 90s adaptation of The Stand is probably one of the better Stephen King adaptations, full stop. The 2020 adaptation of The Stand is a case of how could they possibly have fucked this up any harder?
I did not watch it all the way through. I was like, why am I wasting my time with this when there is a perfectly good adaptation to watch?
Right.
Like I remember watching the 2020 adaptation of The Stand and sitting there going, you were making an adaptation of Stephen King's The Stand during an actual pandemic. This is literally you will never have a better opportunity to adapt The Stand than this. Yep. And yet you fuck it up. It's like that rant from the movie History of Violence. How in God's name do you fuck that up?
Here's another book. It's kind of like Different Seasons and 4 Past Midnight. It's 4 novellas, which just means short book. And 3 of them I recognize and love. There's one called The Good Marriage. There's one called Big Rig. And there's one called 1922. 1922 is about a man who it takes place in 1922. And it's about a man who doesn't like his wife anymore and decides he's going to kill her. And he ends up dragging his son into it as well.
Oh dear.
Really good story with a great, it's like the story ends the only way it can. You want to talk about endings? This was a great ending for that particular story. There's another one called The Good Marriage, which is a man. I think it's coins, but they buy and sell a collector's item. I do believe it was coins. And the husband goes off on a business trip to look at a collector's coin, see if they want to buy the collection. And while he's gone, his wife discovers his secret stash of mementos from all of the people he's killed. Turns out he's a serial killer. And when he gets back, she, of course, is disgusted, and he's trying to calm her down and say, this is actually good. I don't have to hide things from you. I can be honest about things.
Which is sweet that he still loves her. That's kind of
the thing is this is a very character-driven story. It's not, and the tension comes from the wife always being afraid if he's going to snap and take her out, or if he's being sincere in the way he's talking. Then you got Big Rig, which I believe is, I think, I'm actually looking it up here, but Big Driver, sorry. Big Driver, I do believe is like this woman gets raped, not graped, by the way. Let's see, Tess, I want to get this one right because I didn't get the other one right at all. Enormous van of pickup offers assistance. However, Tess realized that the driver had set out the road hazard, and he knocks Tess out, proceeding to, yes, rape her. And then she goes and she takes revenge. It was also made into a movie, by the way. All three of the ones I talked about. I do not recognize the fourth one, but the three were so good. I'm going to put this one in great.
How far have we actually made it on the list? Because
we're done.
Okay, I was going to say we have to be getting near the bottom here soon.
Yeah, well, it helped that I took away all the books that I did not read. You guys might have read, and I know I'm taking away things from you, and I apologize for that. But I
no, it's fine. I think we hit all the ones that we would like to talk about the most. So
all right, so this is what we chose for the Amazings. We have, and we'll pick out our 5, and we'll fight for it if one. Guys in the chat, if you're still listening in, by all means. It's a little funny because it's not you, and it's what we've become accustomed to with him. Okay, we have Salem's Lot. We have It, Salem's Lot, The Shining, The Stand, Cycle of the Werewolf, Eyes of the Dragon, Needful Things, Doctor Sleep, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, The Green Mile, and JFK. It is already there.
I think that's fair.
Okay, so Dalton, pick one.
Probably just because I'm gonna be the biggest offender of this. Eyes of the Dragon would probably be next for me.
Ooh, not a bad choice.
Really? Top 5? Really?
A lot of people seem to hate Eyes of the Dragon for no reason, and it has engendered in me a defensiveness for.
I'm not disliking it but I see 4 right away. That 5 now.
I mean, okay. If you want me to put them in the order of iconicness or the order that I like them, then
let me take this down. We'll have an
then the Stand should probably be on the very top, and Needful Things should be shortly thereafter, and then Eyes of the Dragon.
Hold on, we're going one at a time. But what I'm saying is, you put it up, and we will either defend it or argue it. Dom, what do you put up? From the Amazing, and Dark Admiral agrees. Stand definitely goes up. Pet Cemetery didn't make it to Amazing, therefore it is not on the consideration. Just saying there, Dark Admiral. What about you? Of these books, of the Amazings, what would you put up into this? Come here and help us out here. We're figuring the top 5 Stephen King books, and we're choosing from our Amazing list.
The Green Mile. The
Green Mile goes up to Amazing, from Amazing to the top 5.
Rhaegar, we're doing Stephen King novel rankings.
We're at the end of it there, Rhaegar. Just having a little fun. What would you put from this list? Salem's Lot, It, Shining, Needful Things, Eyes of the Dragon, Cycle of the Werewolf, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, Doctor Sleep, and JFK. What do you put up?
Needful Things.
Needful Things. Anybody want to argue with my daughter about that?
No.
By the way,
Needful Things is definitely up there.
That might have sounded like I'm sitting behind her with knuckles.
I was going to say,
I'm arguing with my daughter about this. I'm not doing that.
But no, in either case, your daughter is correct. Therefore, Needful Things probably should go next.
Okay, it was up here. I'm going to put it back up there because of all these books. Since Needful Things is up there, I've got to put it into the top 5.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that means we've got to go to blows, ladies and gentlemen, over the last book. What would you put up there? Give your vote here. Salem's Lot, The Shining, Cycle of the Werewolf, Eyes of the Dragon, Nightmares, Dreamscapes, Doctor Sleep, or JFK? What goes up there in your opinion?
Which one is Nightmares and Dreamscapes?
Nightmares and Dreamscapes, the one with where the couple goes to the town with the rock and roll stars. It's the short story book.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which ones are in there.
My guess is if you have to, it probably doesn't go up top. It is the best. Okay. Yes, I could do this. Remember they made the TV show out of it also. It's the one with the brother who is a genius and he causes the world to go zombie-like because he wanted to make them less violent.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the Night Flyer, the one with the guy with the airplane who meets the vampire. It's got, oh my gosh, it has more than that too. But I was actually looking at it earlier because, yeah, here you go. Yeah, sorry guys. I all of a sudden have just started talking here about the stories. Dolan's Cadillac, the one where the guy builds the ramp in the road so he could kill the suffered little children's, the one where the teacher kills her students in the basement. Chattery Teeth, the one where he's chased away by this guy's chased by the novelty teeth. Rainy Season, a couple come into a dreary town and are warned to leave because they arrive in the season where it rains toads. I love that story. Yeah. These Crouch End. Oh my gosh, Crouch End is like a monster. That is such a great story. Yeah. But that's what this guy has. So yeah, what would you pick? What would you pick, Elizabeth, of the books that are in Amazing? I'm giving my daughter a vote, guys. Everybody gets a vote, but I'm giving her a vote here.
I think we know how this works by now.
The Shining or Doctor Sleep?
Yeah.
Which one? Okay, hold on. Which one would you guys vote on to go up into the? It doesn't have to be one of the two that Elizabeth said, but which one would you vote on?
I gotta go with the Doctor Sleep.
That's 2. How about you, Dom? Other Dom?
Someday he will be able to tell us apart, folks. Someday.
Y'all
But
look so much alike. Although I know that Elizabeth only wants to marry one of you.
But which is probably good considering I don't swing that way.
Yeah.
But in any case,
Dom said that's good because I'm gay.
but that being that as it may, between Doctor Sleep and The Shining, I would actually give the edge to Doctor Sleep.
All right. Let me go and fetch the Trend Awaga illegal immigrant in my house to vote, says Rhaegar. All right, there we go. This is what we've got then is our top 5. The Stand, Green Mile, Needful Things, It, and Doctor Sleep. And that's almost in the order I would put them. Except for I would put Needful Things here, and then this is how it would look. But
nice.
That's a great top 5 Stephen King books, by the way.
I think if I was to tell, if someone asked me what Stephen King books should I read first, those 5 would actually be a really good choice to choose.
Now, once again, if I were doing things a little bit, it would have been this. But, or no, actually, I think Shining would have been up there because I do like it a little bit better, Doctor. But not, I don't know. God dang it, those 3 are so great. Like I said, I've been reading Stephen King novels forever and a day. I just got to get back to it. Go ahead.
I do think my personal top 5 would have Eyes of the Dragon in it because I like it. I do, but in terms of the books that I reread most often, I've only ever read it, I think, the once. I've never really had much of a desire to revisit it. I have revisited I have revisited Eyes of the Dragon 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that's a mark of a good book.
And I revisit The Stand and Needful Things probably once a year each, to be honest with you.
Mom read them in the 1980s and 90s when I was a kid. No, actually, if you're a kid in the 80s, you're about 40 now, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was born in 95, and I will be 30 come July.
There you go, I know, right? I hit 55 on July 29th. Do you know what I do not feel? 50-fucking-5. That's way too old to be me. I don't know how that works. I do not know how that. I was born in 1970, which I always thought was cool because you could always tell my age just by 70 to 80 is 10, 80 to 90 is 20. You know. I always thought that was easy.
I do
tens all the way to 70.
Yeah, I do a similar thing where it's like 95 to 2005, that's 10, etc., and so on.
It's the simple things in life, ladies and gentlemen. I don't
Yes.
know. That was entertaining. I've kind of wanted to talk about Stephen King movies and books and such. Yeah,
Makes me wanna dust off The Stand again for this year's cycle of The Stand.
yeah. I'm kind of
Like I said, I revisit The Stand and Needful Things at least once a year each.
I'm kind of getting inspired. I want to pick up a novel. I've read nothing but graphic novels for about 3 years now. I'm trying to catch up with the books that I bought. Excuse the mess of my my office, but all of those Showcase Presents right there, I have not read those.
If you
I've got the Doctor Strange omnibuses. Have not read those.
If you want a new series to check out, assuming you haven't checked out Jim Butcher Dresden Files yet, I would highly recommend Jim Butcher Dresden Files. It is a great series.
Well, I did read The Elongated Man, so I did read a couple of these all the way through, but and I'm one issue away from finishing Green Lantern Volume 1.
Oh, nice.
I don't know about you guys. I buy trade paperbacks, and I'm like, okay, I'll put it on the shelf. I'll read it at some point, and and then I go out, I'll buy more instead of okay, I got enough. Let me read these.
Them. No, actually, it's funny you bring up like the Elongated Man, because the last time I visited one of my local comic book stores, I actually found the complete miniseries of Elongated Man was featured him and Sue going on adventures, and it reminds me of why they're one of my favorite husband and wife duos in fiction.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Speaking of which, actually, I want to one of these days we should cover that miniseries with him and Sue.
Probably close to when First Steps comes out.
You had to remind us.
Well, and therein lies a bit of the problem. But yeah, when First Steps comes out, we should definitely revisit that. That, if I'm not mistaken, that actually comes out on my birthday this year, the 25th of July. If I'm not entirely mistaken.
Hot take. I think it looks good. In all honesty, I think it looks good. So
I think it looks okay. I am cautiously optimistic. Emphasis on the cautiously there.
Dark Emerald saying, yeah, I'm bad about that, especially with Ollie's and my shop being $5. I bought so much stuff from Ollie's. There is a guy, I was going to do this before we hit our bad patch. I'm trying to save up some money because there's this guy that goes to these shows. Hold on just a sec here. Oh God, my knees freaking popped like nobody's business. Up here in Indiana, there's this thing called Knights Hall, and they have a comic book show on these dates. I mean, it's like every 3 months. Well, the last time I was there, this guy had a sale. It's like he had them different priced, and it was like $5. I think it was like $5 trade paperbacks. He sold, like, if you bought 25, you could get $1 for $1 each. I was like, fuck yeah. And then there was another one. It was like for the $10, you buy 10, it'll be $7.50 each. I was like, shit, I'm gonna fill up my booth with these things. But then I just find a whole bunch of them I want. So
I have a bad habit of finding audiobooks online for free and then like falling in love with the series and then being like, I need to physically own this media now. Like that happened with Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. I did eventually get all the Dresden Files books and stuff. That happened with Benedict Jacko's Alex Vera's series. I still have to get those. It happened with at least the first book in the Sandman Slim series by Richard Kadri. It happened with the first couple Iron Druid books. I have so many urban fantasy books that I need to get books. just because I'm very good at finding audiobooks for free on websites and stuff. It's just a matter of once I decide I like something, my immediate impulse is a physical copy of this.
Well, if you ever want a proper adaptation of the Dresden Files, like who would you cast as Dresden himself? Scott Bakula?
Daniel Cudmore. Daniel Cudmore.
Yeah. Oh, not a bad choice.
Because height is very important to Harry, as a character. So like you'd either have to get an unknown who just happens to be like 6'9", which is, I guess, doable. But immediately when I was picturing Harry in my head, I mean, obviously, every fan of Dresden Files would be perfectly happy with James Marsters, because my God, the Dresden Files audiobooks are fucking amazing. But assuming you wanted somebody who could physically play the part of Harry better, Daniel Cudmore is the one that always comes to my mind.
Cool. All righty. So we managed to make a hour-long live stream into 2.5 hours. I threw my boot up once. It came down, hit me squarely in the forehead. I did that with a burning piece of flower pot. It was one of those plastic flower pots. Me and Rob were setting fires in the woods. We were actually cooking eggs. We thought it would be fun to take some eggs and cook them on the way to school, and we would pick up the pans on the way back because we cut through some woods. And Rob was like, I'll find something to burn. And he threw in a piece of plastic. I was like, no, because I knew what happened with plastic burn. So I took a stick and I threw it, which I thought I was throwing it backwards. It just went straight up and landed right on my head.
So a very literal boot to the head scenario.
Very, very literal. Yep. All right, kids. So tomorrow we are doing, so what is this? What's her name? Cheetah covers. All right. And that's at 10:30 p.m. I spent the afternoon dragging out some Cheetah covers and picking out 12. You know what Cheetah does not have? An iconic cover. Sorry, but she doesn't. But I think I pulled some interesting ones. And then we have our auction on Saturday, and we're come back for that as well. Some great books. I showed them off twice already. And then on Sunday we at 10:30 the auction is at 8:00 on Saturday, and then Sunday is what is it? Ra's al Ghul covers, and then on Monday, the show we were talking about earlier, we started coming up with a list of books to talk about. And there you go. That's a preview of what's to come. Thank you very much for hanging out with us, and thank you to Dalton and Dominic for hanging out with me here. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night, guys.
Cheers, guys.